Um, well, as a good CTO, you need to become a one, and there is, I would say, two main ways. Either you climb the corporate ladder, you can improve yourself over time, and you are the best from the group of your peers. And that does take a while. You can do it within the company or switch companies, whatever is good for you, or you start your own company. Regardless of whatever you are taking one path or another one, and depends whether you are more startup guy or more of a corporate guy. Um, the thing which I definitely see in the people who are the CTO is like they continue to hustle, they continue to improve themselves. Even when they are thinking if this is good, it's usually not good enough for them. Those people are like very self-critical. Those people get stuff done, and before the project is done, they are already thinking about the next iteration. They are continuously improving, and that's a big one. Always aware of the competition, always aware of the latest technologies. Whatever they learned 4, 5, 6 years ago, it's most likely already outdated. Um, uh, the knowledge that lasts you, especially in Bay Area, where new startups are created and are dying every 2, 3 years, is really the span is about the 2, 3 years when most of the stuff you learned is outdated. And as a CTO, that's a huge threat to you or your company, or even as an individual who is, let's say, even climbing the ladder, that's threat to your progress in your career, that you stop learning, you stop progressing. And sometimes it's fine if you just want to do your job and stay at your current level. But if you want to go further, you learn new stuff. You are seeking new challenges. You go outside of your comfort zone. Yeah, so I would say that's definitely one, like being very curious, going forward, learning. And another one which I would mention is getting to a CTO is a combination of, yes, all the hard work you need to put in. At the same time, there is a good amount of luck. And the luck doesn't come just by itself also. You need to put yourself in a situation where you're able to get lucky. So you need to take some amount and good amount of calculated risks. So maybe starting your own company is one of those. Will you get lucky? Will it work out? Is the timing right? Is the market right? Is the technology ready? You never know, but just by taking the risk, you are increasing your chances to progress. And even if you don't succeed, you learn. So that's the part of getting out of the comfort zone. The same way in companies, like just by doing your job, yes, sometimes you can progress, but taking on a new risky project, which might turn out to be 10x and the new revenue driver for the company, yeah, you can do that. Or not. But yeah, you are not saying a no to the opportunity, saying no to the risk/luck part of good CTO or VP of engineering or the senior leader career. So definitely those two. Yeah.
And now when you say it's important to learn, the natural question is what to learn, because a CTO should not be coding anymore, probably in the initial stages, like when there are two co-founders and they prepare the product. But if we imagine an environment with 10, 20 engineers, probably the CTO is not coding anymore. So then what to learn? There is so much to learn, but what, hard skills or soft skills?
Yeah, yeah. So for CTO, definitely it's a combination. You should not be coding, absolutely not. Yeah, you have some CTOs who do it for fun, but let's say no. There is a tremendous amount of it's a combination soft and hard. On the soft side, it's all of the management skills, all of the leadership skills. It's also exposing yourself to a new situations, which are sometimes outside of a CTO role. Even when you are a CTO, you're expected to work very effectively with chief product officer and let's say even legal part or go-to-market functions. So sometimes learning soft parts of collaboration, soft parts of leadership. You should also effectively manage, like you're responsible for a team, most likely 100,000, sometimes thousands or tens of thousands of people. So how to run that organization effectively. But that's quite a bit on the soft side. And it's a combination. Read some books, listen to podcasts. That's a great one. Go through an articles, have your Harvard Business Review, anything like that, where you are seeking new information. So continuously try to seek new information. Talk to people. That's another one. For example, for me, it helps a lot just to talk to other people who are VPs, CTOs, and sometimes I get these golden nuggets from the conversation, and I have a whole doc of those. And sometimes I just go and reread that, and it becomes handy when the situation comes up. So that's on the soft side. On the hard side, so on the engineering skills, you are not expected to code, but you still should have enough technical knowledge. Anytime you are presented with a technical challenge, uh, either try to figure out where the solution would be, or figure out who is the right person you can send the other person who came to you to solve the problem. That means either you know the solution or you know someone who knows the solution. You should be aware of all of the latest trends. Anything what could be threat to your business, anything, any new development. So go and read your Medium articles on technology. Go and check Hacker News now and then. Follow your most popular Reddit blogs on machine learning and stuff like that. All of that helps you to stay up to date. Occasionally, maybe read a research paper or two if you are in kind of like a more ML or data area. Um, Deep dive when it's needed. So if there is a project which really interests you, don't shy away from pulling someone aside. Oh, can you please explain to me? Don't shy away from like being the stupid one in the room. And it can be awkward situation. You have like L4, L5, I see, and they are explaining the project to CTO, but yeah, it helps you to understand at least parts of the system when you want to. And it's not about the ability to know the whole system, but about the ability to go and deep dive when you need to. When you feel like something might not be working, there might be other opportunity, stuff like that. And the very last one, which I got as an advice from one of my mentors, is you should have the level of technical ability where you're able to call bullshit. As a CTO, as a VP or director, you're going to be on a very high level position where you will not always get the bad news. People will come to you and try to sell you stuff. And if you don't know, you might make the wrong bets. You might make the wrong investments, which is going to cost the company, which is going to cost you. So someone tells you, and there is like this magical algorithm that's going to solve all our problems. All I need is 30 ICs for the next 2 years. You are like, oh yeah, that sounds great. Or like, oh no, that's absolute bullshit. You're not going to be able to do it. So you should be able to do one of those. And yeah, those are two extremes, and it's really like ask the right kind of questions to deep dive into that. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned so many kind of golden nuggets with even the last one. I mean, just being able to call the bullshit, right? But the previous ones as well, with regards to the meetups, for example, to meet people and talk about the latest and greatest tools and technologies. You mentioned Reddit, HackerRank. So it almost feels like a full-time job just to keep up to date with the latest technologies. All right. So at least, so if we look at the average week of the CTO, I mean, how much time would you say should be allocated to staying up to date? Is it 1 hour? Is it 5, 10, 40?
Yeah, that's a good one. Um, uh, the average week of a CTO is definitely not 40 hours a week. That's the reality. If it is, most likely you're getting to the stage of the company where it can work without you, and it's time to think about early retirement. Um, uh, how much should be? For example, for me, every morning I have 1 hour for reading. I read articles, I read papers, I read books, and that's at least 5 hour a week. Then I listen to audiobooks and podcasts on my way to work and from work. It's usually hour driving 3 times a week, so that's 6 extra hours. So for me, like I would say 11 to 15 hours. Then sometimes I spend time in the evening, also going through some paper or just going through some most recent news. So I would say about 15 hours is what I do. I know
Mhm.
people who are investing into that like much, much, much more time. Like they spend
Mhm.
at least one day of weekends, like really going into anything technical, like all the latest papers which were released. Yes, if you are in a company which right now is competing in a very hot area, all of the LLM, Gen AI, reinforcement learning kind of stuff, that's one where you just need to do it a little bit more. If you are, let's say, a VP in a company which is maintaining already a system that is used by, let's say, hundreds of clients, then yeah, 2, 3 hours just looking at the news about the competitions a week is absolutely fine.
Mm.
Um,
It's so interesting that you mentioned these numbers because someone who is listening now or watching this on YouTube, they probably spend 2 hours per week and they think, oh, well, I tick this box, I'm continuously learning. And now they are freaking out like, what do I need to spend 15 hours? Like 8 times more. But I guess that's what it takes to be a great CTO or technical leader in the United States, in the Bay Area, right? Where the competition is so tough.
Yeah, and for me, it's not just technical. For me, it's like everything. So when I listen to
Mhm.
audiobook, it might be like management or leadership book or anything like that. Um, uh, mm, yeah, I mean, there is quite a bit of competition. So in that case, if you are not doing it, there is someone else who does, and they are gonna be ahead.
Mhm.
Um, Also, it's not always. You're gonna have down times and you're gonna have up times during your career as a technical leader. So there will
Mhm.
be times where you really need to push and there is new product releasing, so you might really want to stay up to date. And there is times where like, okay, now it's a little bit more stable, or you're dealing with other stuff, like life happens. So then, yeah, I didn't do anything for 2 weeks. It's like,
Mhm.
and that's fine.
Yeah.
Part of it is like okay with yourself. Yeah.
Mm. And you mentioned that you are reading some papers. So are you referring to some scientific papers released in some journals, or what would you suggest that other people do as well?
Mhm. Yes, it's papers on archive, or for example, there is a very good website, Papers with Code, where you can read the papers and actually even look at the code. Um,
Mhm.
uh, and I subscribed to a couple of paper aggregators where they have highlights of papers from of every week. Definitely stuff like Hacker News, where they highlight the latest papers, is very useful to me. So
Mhm.
yes, it is scientific papers mostly. Um, uh, and besides that, other papers, like Harvard Business Review and things like that on management, but that's less.
Hmm. Wow. Okay. Well, I need to also update my reading list just to just to stay up to date also with the latest trends. And now when you mentioned hacker news, it just reminded me it's been years since I visited this website, so I need to go back there as well. Now, awesome. And when you are interviewing some other people to join the team, or not just your department, but maybe you've been invited as the hiring manager or
Mhm.
interviewer also for other departments, besides this ability to be on top of things and the continuous learning, what are some other aspects that make really great VP of engineering or a CTO?
Um, so kind of a natural drive, I would say. So continuously learning, continuously improving, but I would say like never be happy with the status quo.
Mhm.
Always asking how we can improve something. Um, uh, and the next one, I would say like just focusing on getting things done. You want to launch a product and you are told a no, and the no is not really a no. You have to figure out how to turn the no into yes. Um, uh, and yeah, go from there. So I would say, yeah, natural curiosity and ability and drive, get the stuff done.
Mhm.
Those two big ones.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
you think about it, and actually I had this conversation with another mentor recently, like you really need to decide what you want to be, and you really need to be honest with yourself. When you think about, let's say you were at school, let's say there was 30 people, did you really want to be at the top of the class, or where your interests really were? And that's similar how even the tech worlds work. Maybe there was like 2, 3, 4, 5 people who were there at the top, and they wanted to be at the top. They invested their time into it. So it is similar in the tech world. Like, where do you invest your time? Where do you want to be? There's lots of people who will be just okay, and
And we are back. Ešte si mutnutý.
And we are back. Sorry about that.
Vraciame sa po reklame. Nevadí. Toto katneme tak, jak sme hovorili na začiatku, nie? Že, že bude nejaká časť, čo katneme, tak toto katneme. Ale v pohode, inak to bol dobrý ten point, vlastne get things done. A takže to akurát bol taký dobrý moment, kedy sa to katlo, lebo si to vlastne povedal a potom si ako znova išiel povedať to isté a hej, si to akože išiel zopakovať, takže tam to katneme. Takže to je fajn. A na to by som nadviazal. A len sa musím pozrieť, či nahrávame teda. Nahrávame, áno. OK. OK. A tam som sa spýtať na to, že vlastne ako sa dostať, keď už teda povedzme, že sú dve ľudia, ktorí takí sú, podľa čoho, alebo tam musí byť konkurencia neuveriteľná. OK, hej, tak môžeme potom, hej, spýtam sa na túto tému, že OK, keď sú takí ľudia, ktorí aj sú nadrajovaní, aj get things done, millions of people apply. OK. Yeah, that's actually a great insight about getting things done, about continuous learning. But still, I can imagine that thousands or millions of people, probably gazillions of people, apply to work at Google, and not too many have this wonderful opportunity. You are one of them to get a job as the director of engineering at Google. So, what are the criteria? Like, how can someone who has the drive, is learning about new things, and knows something about technology can actually become a director of engineering at Google.
Mhm. I mean, there is always the interview. You have to do well there. And we are getting back to my first point. It's a combination of skill and luck. Especially for director positions, it's much more fit in the terms of your previous experiences. For example, I got fairly lucky that I was director of ad safety, and I was doing safety for quite a while before that. Um, uh, so like having something what Google needs really helped me to get the job. Then doing well during the interviews, being a reasonable, relatable person, having the technical knowledge, basically that was the thing. And even talking to my hiring manager, who hired me for Google, he said, yeah, it was not easy to hire the person. They were hiring for months and months, and there was always one piece missing. Either it was the kind of like a Googliness, that means like you are a reasonable person, get stuff done, or it was the technical knowledge, or it was the domain specific knowledge. With those three, like finding the one person is yeah, a little bit harder. Even in, let's say, the Bay Area itself, when you are thinking about senior technical leaders who know AI ML and work in the safety space at a senior enough level, it's not that many. It might be, we are talking 20 to 50 people, maybe. So although the competition is fierce, the higher you go and the more you are specialized, the easier is it gonna be to actually get to those jobs. And I mean, the network is a big part as well. For me, especially for the Google job, network didn't help. I just called, applied through Google website and got in. But I do have lots of friends who worked for their manager or their peer became a VP somewhere else and they came and they worked for them. So you kind of prove yourself over and over again. You work with the same people over and over again. And over time, they figure out, okay, this person's good. So you bump into them in Bay Area, especially over and over again. People do say Bay Area is a small place. Don't be an asshole. And yeah, I would say that holds true.
It's very cool that you say that that the network is important, even though you landed the job some other way. Because a lot of the CTOs that we've been working with, they are not really those extroverted people who are keen to get to know people and have lots of small talk discussions. So, are there any special tricks or tips that you would recommend? As a way to overcome this fear of talking to strangers?
Oh boy. You have to do it first time, second time, third time. It becomes easier after a while. Um, uh, Even for me, it's putting myself into situations where I need to do something like that, like going to meetups and then talking to random people, because you're like, okay, what's the alternative? I already came to this meetup. I will just listen to the talk and then I do nothing. No, I will rather talk to the 3, 4 people I have around the table. They are in the same situation. They are also shy. They are also not talking that much. In the very worst case, find your crowd. There is going to be the social butterflies who are just going around the room, but there is like maybe a couple of others who are somewhere in the corner. At least grab those. So that would be my thing. So meetups is a big one, and overcome it. Like just take the first step. Sign yourself up for the meetup. Find a buddy. Actually, that helped me a lot. For like 2.5 years, I had a friend. We went to meetups, I would say at least once a month in San Francisco. And it's like going to the gym. Someone helps you, pulls you there, even if you don't have the mood to actually do it. So having a group, having a buddy, definitely yes. There are other ways how you can do it more comfortably. There is something what I used for a while called Lunch Club, where you are connected to random people. During pandemic, it was virtual. Pre-pandemic, actually in person. And you are talking to random people on GVC, and that could be founders, that could be yeah, VPs, people like that. So that's also another one, which is great.
Oh,
What
that's a good
else?
one.
Yeah, LinkedIn used to have a feature which is kind of career mentor feature. They took it away, but when it was there, you could every week get like 3 to 5 people you can reach out who were more senior than you and ask them questions. I used it all the time. Instead
Nice.
of relying on LinkedIn having that feature, occasionally right now when I see someone who wrote an interesting article or yeah, had an interesting post, I just directly message them and I ask them. The conversion rate isn't so high, but even if you have 1 out of 10 people responding to you, that's still, if you do it, you get 15 free LinkedIn messages a month. If you are subscribing for one of the paid tiers, use those 15 messages wisely and you still get 1 or 2 people you are going to get to talk to.
Mm.
And yes, it's very uncomfortable. For example, me and my wife are super different in this. She doesn't talk to almost anyone if she doesn't have to. But at the same time, she's much more technology driven, and I'm much more like people and technology driven.
Mm.
Yeah,
Awesome, awesome. Well, this it seems to be some habit, which once you form, then it gets easier and easier. So I guess the first
absolutely.
steps are the most difficult, but then you just overcome it. And there was another interesting thing that you mentioned regarding the brand of the CTO or the person, or how actually I mean the brand could also include the company that you worked for before, right? Because when you
Mhm,
applied, like you communicated something through your
mhm,
CV, and you worked,
mhm,
for example, for Amazon before, right? And so this becomes your personal brand, and then you go and apply with this. So it just reminded me that it's important also to consider the company you work for today. It will influence the job that you will get a year or 5 years or probably 10 years from now eventually.
mhm. I mean, yes, it does help you to get the foot in the door, but then it really depends how you perform afterwards. Um, uh, uh, and some of the best hires, for example, I had, even for senior leaders or senior ICs, they came out of their own startups, or they came out of sometimes no-name companies, but they just wanted to do more. So they took the step and they looked outside and they worked on their own skills. So the brand helps you with the initial steps and it sounds fancy.
Yeah.
At the same time, there is a deep talent pool outside of the Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google, Apple, that yeah does have a huge amount of potential.
Mm.
Um, and
Yeah.
especially for CTOs, when you go for smaller companies, sometimes it's not the right decision to hire from Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, or so Netflix maybe more, but especially some of the big companies because it's a very different job. Um, uh, as a CTO or VP in a smaller company, you have to hustle. You don't have all the support, all the resources of, let's say, Facebook and Google do have. Um, uh, and it takes very different amount of skills to get stuff done than what does it take in a big companies. So brand matters, brand gets you the foot in the door, but sometimes can be an obstacle if your goals are different.
Mm. Well, there is so much to consider, right? From the learning skills, the brand, the company to work for, the also the kind of industry to choose. In your case, it was the
Mhm.
um, ads, right? You mentioned ads, so that you specialize
Yeah,
in ads
yeah.
itself. So there is a lot. And I'm just kind of thinking before we wrap it up, because I'm sure you are busy. You have probably something coming up soon, because for me it's the evening, for you it's early morning. So just if you think about someone who is a CTO in a larger organization, say 100 people with a department of, let's say, 30, 40 people, and they wonder, okay, how do I do the next step? I look at all of these fancy companies, but probably I'm not good enough to get there. But at the same time, I know that I'm already bored in this current company. So what would you advise to these people? What should they do to get more and better career opportunities?
Oh, that's a good one. First of all, forget about not good enough. Personally, what helped me actually is never think about not good enough. It's like I look at some of the people who are in the other companies, and it's like, huh, why it cannot be me? And how do I get there? So Yeah, and
That's a good one.
yeah,
That's actually a very good one, really. I think we need to pause here because this is a very strong message, really, for everyone listening. And I need to admit, sometimes I also have this kind of mindset, like, oh, why they are there and not me, and I kind of play myself down, which probably is also how we were raised here in Europe, in Central Europe, right? I'm from Slovakia. You are from Slovakia as well. So we there is something in our mentality, probably, especially, I mean, in mine, not in yours anymore, but
Yeah. Yep, I agree. I agree. It definitely is a little bit in the kind of like Central European Slovak mindset. Like, oh, just be okay with what you have. And it's like, now, what else is there?
Hmm.
Like being curious is a huge one. Let me see. I have like a sign behind me which says "Be curious," and
Nice.
uh, that's a huge one. And being curious, part of being curious is actually like figuring out what's next. And if you do have a goal, how do you get to that goal? Um, uh,
Hmm.
and what do you actually want to do when you get to that goal? Let's say you are now in the company, you are doing something, you are, let's say, leading the 30 people, you are the CTO. What are the things you are not doing you would like to do? And that's actually great advice I got from one of my other mentors. Um, don't just think about who you want to do. Think about what you want to do. What you want to do, like the work you are going to do. Like you don't want to be a VP. Like, I'm going to be a VP. I'm going to be a CTO, and I'm going to be so happy, and it's going to be so amazing. No, not necessarily. Like, do I want to be there and lead people and lead a strategy? Is that going to help me? Or am I gonna lead the technical collaboration within the industry with my company? Is that gonna is the action, not necessarily the end state, gonna make me happy?
Hmm.
Um, uh, yeah.
Yeah, very, very cool. And there is one insight which you haven't mentioned, but I kind of noticed it somewhere between the lines. Like you had at least three different mentors, maybe more.
Oh
But
yes.
I guess this is also a takeaway that some people can take from this episode, to have a mentor, at least one, if not three or more.
Yeah. I would say just talk to people. For me, it's sometimes my previous managers, sometimes even CEOs of companies I work for. Sometimes it's like I see someone writing a very good article, and then I talk to them regularly, and we, let's say, chat once a quarter or something like that. Um, uh,
Awesome.
for example, another person, they wanted to hire me, they ended up not hiring me, but we are still having coffees occasionally. Um, uh, so, and that's how I learn from people, by talking to people. And part of it is like, um, uh, you know, um, if they are somewhere, I'm not there yet, maybe I can learn from them. And that's a big one actually in Bay Area. No one's gonna tell you no to help you. So although there
Hmm.
is a competition, there is a huge amount of helping people.
Hmm.
So it's also quite a bit of collaborative, and people are committed to giving back, especially to more junior people. So that's a big one which boosts talents and accelerates, I would say, progress quite a bit. Since
Hmm.
all the knowledge accumulated by people in, let's say, far in the higher positions, older generations, it trickles down to not just directly to the reports, but the whole area.
Awesome, awesome. Well, there is a lot we all can learn from your experience, and I guess for many listeners, this was very eye-opening. If they would like to dive deeper and maybe get some one-on-one advice, and if they would like to message you, where can they get in touch with you?
I have a LinkedIn. You can send a
Mhm.
message there. I'm fairly active. I tend to respond within a couple of days.
Mhm.
And yeah, I'm very happy
Awesome.
to be the kind of a person who gives back. And I did it several times for quite a few people.
Mhm.
Even now, for example, if you are in the area, we can grab a coffee, go for a hike. I did that for quite few Slovak folks who visited.
Awesome, awesome. So I'll include the link in the show notes and in the description on YouTube. Awesome. Well then, thanks a lot for joining and sharing with fellow CTOs and VPs and the directors and everyone who is keen to get more and better opportunities in the tech space.
Uh, Thank you too, Mikhail. I'm very happy to help.